Oh man, okay folks, you might be wondering why this draft is starting late. It's because I was trying to solo Aatrox on Extreme as Aurora and I bottled it. So anyway, that happened.
Sorry about that,
draft here for game 2 of TTEDG.
We are indeed. TT have locked themselves in Lucian, Ezreal, Leona as their first 3 picks, notably UCal with a lot of faith put in for a Lucian first pick. On the other side, EDG got themselves a Lilia for JJ, and of course they've got themselves the Braum early on here as well. It has kind of been rising in priority just a little bit.
Because the big thing about the Braum is that it's just really good into Leona. Whenever you see that Leona, you have to play that Leona, the Braum as a counter pick, and because you have the Lily, you have some engage. So now the Braum can be follow-up engage on top of something like that Lily roll. You're still looking for a little bit more engage from somewhere. So we have to see if now EDG can kind of supplement that. JJ, of course, been a big part of this team. He's been up and down. His brand games have done good damage, but his positioning has sometimes been a bit suspect. On the other side, it really has been 1xN and UCal coming to play very, very prominently within summer. Again, I think that Feathers also had some fantastic games. So that three-member core on the bot side doing very, very well for TT right now. And they have ST picks.
On the other side, though, EDG have been really, really struggling again. I think Leave has had moments, but it's often been, can he just 1v9 a game on a pick at 3 items? Winkin similarly kind of, can you get a lead in lane for Leave? But everyone else has felt so uncoordinated when it comes to those fights. Cryin and Solo Kill in particular have felt a little bit disconnected. JJ as well has often been required to get early leads, or the game looks pretty doomed from the early starts. So the band's now coming on through. They're getting rid of Beichuan's Zyra. Beichuan Kenobi may be forced to play something a little different this time around, alongside the Kennen from Hoya, who had some monumental weak side Kennen games the last time I was on cast for him. Let's see whether he'll have something else cooked up here. Solo Kill in general, not necessarily the most threatening or intimidating of opponents as it stands to say, and not been having the greatest summer. Looking towards the Cassante as many of our top laners do. Yeah,
Solo Kill's last couple of series have been really quite poor, to the point where I wonder if he is, I mean, like much of this team, and we saw this spring as well, whether Solo Kill is fighting for his position in the roster at this point. So we will kind of have to track how this whole EDG squad is doing in regards to kind of their recent performances, because it has been all over the place. Beichuan very likely to get that brand. It's one of his best champions. I earlier in the split kind of considered Beichuan a bit of a brand one trick where that was his best champion and everything else really paled in comparison. So getting that now against multiple tanks can really help. Can struggle into the Braum because your ult can get denied by the shield, and that can stop the brand multi-bounce fiascos, which have happened all the time. Hoya gets herself a winning lane match in the Nara to Cassante as well.
So EDG have looked to this to win them games. I will note, we did see a very tense game where Leave came online on a Smolder from a very... but he lost the game after a phenomenal Q3 from Cassante. Pulled him over the wall near mid lane and got that very important kill, but have often defaulted to this. JJ getting early leads and then Leave as a late game win condition. Not necessarily reliant on team play so much as individual players just getting vast leads. Easier said than done, let's make no bones about it.
So EDG don't have great engage, but they do have good follow-up. So if you land a good Swell Seed, then you get rockets, you get the Braum ult, and you get the Smolder ult flying over the top as well. And if it particularly lands onto anyone but the Leona, especially when the Mini Gnar is there instead of the Mega Gnar, EDG can have a good one-shot kill combo onto one person. I think that's fine. It is going to be a lot of burden onto JJ though, and I don't think this is the easiest comp to execute. Now, if you're a struggling team like EDG, you kind of want to see things be easier to execute, because if you're already not necessarily hitting all of the shots, you need to make them as easy as possible. Now we look at TT, a team who has very much been on a bit of a surging level of form, with a lot of champions which are very comfortable to them. Hoya is a very good Gnar player, and you've got these carries in the midsection of the map, which are all going to be very, very powerful. Feather also on the S tier support pick. I think TT have an easier to execute composition because of that Leona's ease of access, and I think everyone is comfortable on their apparent champions.
Eyes on that. The return of the likes of Lucian have given UCal another breath of life. We saw the bones of a great team in TT. There were a lot of us that were excited to see what they would do this year. We're somewhat disappointed, but here in Nirvana Group, a last gasp has turned into a proper breath of life here. Up towards the top of the standings. Not quite out of this group yet, but certainly looking to compete. EDG on the other side, really struggling to find form. Onto the Rift we go to see whether one or the other can turn around or continue their streak of fortune. Gyos complete. Both teams now on the rift. I'll note that Beichuan has decided not to go for the pot. A lot of farming junglers do decide to skip out on an early 50 gold to get better break points after first clear. Just a cost efficiency thing. 50 gold, particularly in the early game before camp values and stuff get a little bit more pricey, can be pretty useful in terms of getting that. So do keep your eyes on that one. Sometimes your junglers do that.
Which one's that?
The brand hasn't gone pot because it's better for gold saving. Yes.
It's the potty T.
Potty T, exactly.
There you go,
Double
yeah.
T, exactly. I thought you would appreciate it.
Yeah, but no, a lot of AP jungle matchups is can you get to the Fated Ashes first,
Yes.
since that can very much help you with that spike. Because as soon as you get that Fated Ashes, it really changes the entire game. Both Jie and Beichuan will be looking towards that. You typically get that off of, I believe, your level 4 camps, so you get your first clear plus Scuttle tends to get you towards that one. Leave, walking up really far, buddy, you can't be doing that. Braum's going to trade back, but Leave, last time he played this Smolder, he got caught in the late game, and his laning phase wasn't even that great on it either. Need to be really careful that the Ezreal Leona is a good combo. You threw the Zenith Blade, and it activates the Sunlight passive from Leona. Ezreal can proc that from long range with the Q as you're rooted. It's just point and click effectively at that point, so Leave positioning really close to that bush is not really what you want to see.
And again, they had a rough level 1 the last series I saw from them too. Better as the series went on. Even still, level 2 hit by TT early. The Leona have a slightly rough time into the Braum. Did get chunked
Important
briefly
thing here is that Jie is pathing top side, so he's not going to be a bot. Beichuan is pathing bot side. So now you're taking these heavy trades as Feather to try and get as much health away from Leave and Wink as you can. They're not being that successful, and they do have pots and cookies, but it would open up a dive opportunity if they do well enough in these trades. I think for now EDG are fine. If they eat one more bad trade, I think maybe Beichuan comes over and looks for a dive.
And the issue with the next trade from TT though is Feather has no more sustain in his inventory. He's burned through all of the pots early on, so any chunky he takes now will be lasting until a reset comes on through in the mid lane. Cryin has the wrong end of the early trade. We've seen the earlier barrier pop. That is a very regular thing right now for Lucians into Corki. You use the barrier and you just win the early level 1 trades.
Yeah, Beichuan now down here, level 4. 1xN going to try and poke out a little bit. Missing Qs like that with the limited mana you have doesn't help, so I think EDG's bot lane are going to be fine. 1xN jumping in very far there, but not turned around with the Braum passive, doesn't hit. 1xN now used all of his mana, missing a couple of skill shots early on Ezreal. Does make a lot of difference, particularly before you have any of that mana. You have limited ability for that. It's one of the reasons why we've seen so much, like, you remember the double tier Ezreal.
Oh, yeah.
Means that you're at infinite mana, can always spam skill shots, get a lot of value. Now Jie, who has path towards top side, has a better angle of attack. Quite is getting himself mega right now. He does have flash and doesn't get hit by the W. He should be fine.
Nearly at mega as well. JJ might get a chunk out here. Gotta watch out. He actually gets crunched afterwards, so JJ gets Conqueror, stacks and backs away from mid lane. Yukal, not much mana, but still gets a solid trade onto Cryin here, who the Gatling gun and Yukal stuck in the wave can still trade back pretty effectively there.
Yeah, Yukal has the wave just about on his side, but he's trying to get himself a good kind of like wave crash in here to make sure that he can get himself a good reset, because he's lower on mana. He hasn't had his first back of the game because yet. Cryine's already TP'd back, so he's trying to use the last of his mana, crash this wave in, and see if he can get himself back into lane effectively.
Yeah, that will be the idea at the very least, getting as much of a chunk as he can, because he doesn't have the reset himself with the teleport, so will likely have to be dropping a bit of a wave here. We'll see whether he sticks around, because Cryin has hard shoved this one, and we'll decide to cancel that back to clear out this wave.
So, Yukal, waiting a long time for his first back. Cryin can also get a recall now as well. He's slightly up in CS, so it's not like if they get a reset at the same time, they'll have the same combat stat and gold available to them. We do know that Yukal, very good player of the Lucian, he's played a lot recently. It's been one of the reasons he's kind of had his own resurgence. Going to get himself back for his first recall of the game, and hopefully get himself to a point where he can like force on this match a little harder. Has gone for the Cult. You're kind of okay to match Cult for tier spike against that Corki. And particularly the Lucian into the Corki, we can dodge out of a rocket, dodge out of a frost bomb, means that you can win early trades before Corki's damage just becomes you hit one skill shot and suddenly he wins the trade.
And you have a bad time. A Sheen item plus frost bomb is quite a lot of damage, guys, for those who have not had the pleasure, such as it is, of playing into Corki. H1 towards this bot lane. He's gonna jump onto Wink, who lands the Winter's Bite. H1 slows him down enough that follow-up damage isn't really available.
Yeah, this bot lane from EDG is surviving okay. JJ's going back to his top side. He doesn't have 6 just yet. Might not need it. Hoya flashes, has Mega, should be fine now.
Yeah, it does so. Solo kill. It's all out there, and Hoya is forced to burn the flash, but 2 ganks in the early minutes will be a bit of a frustration for Hoya, but he has been well used to playing weak side at this point.
Yeah, he's made a bit of a career of it out here on TT. He kind of just was left to his own devices, tries to impact teamfights later. He's not always had the best time of it in the LPL. I think that he did have one series versus Weber where he solo killed like the Shy like 4 times or something, which was a high point for him. But then again, Hugh hasn't solo killed the Shy at this point. So occasion. Look, mate, if you look, that team made World Finals is the most. That is one of the most cursed timelines ever, given how well that played. Like how poorly
they
that
should
team
never
played.
have made finals.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I loved it, but also it was very funny hearing people. Oh, but they were World Finals, incredible team. Like, well, they are half the time.
Yeah.
Like the other half of the time.
Half? I would go 40%. I feel as actually could look for a solid lilting lullaby here. Yukal's in danger as the barrier burns it, forced to flash out the back, and this looks like a great fight for EDG. The turnaround on a Wink though. As the brand damage comes on through, everyone's low from TT, and Cryan, with limited mana though, doesn't really get the ability to go for anything more.
And the turnaround damage might be good onto Wink, but Wink blocks the ult of the brand. So right there, Beitron maybe could have got himself that big splash damage teamfight also, but he's not getting multiple passive procs where they all damage each other because the Braum shield blocks that brand ult. That's the interaction you have to watch for in this kind of fight. And it means that EDG do walk away with slightly more health than you would have thought. TT just about survived themselves. I thought Yukal would go down because JJ got his ult off, but it wasn't quite the case.
The barrier was enough, and the flash afterwards gets him out to safety, especially as Beige1 then stood and delivered. And Wink to block the damage, but it meant Cryan's ability to go forwards on the correct timing, perhaps not quite there. Not correct timing to get the kill. There we go. Correct, probably not to go forwards, but you might just die. That would then have been incorrect. But nomenclature aside, still an even game, no one claiming first blood as yet.
So EDG, I think one of their strengths has been JJ in the early game. That's been one of their big strengths. It has been more about later into the game. Their teamfight shape, for one of a better word, isn't always great, where their carries aren't always in position to do good damage. Leave has been better recently than he has been at the start of summer, and of course the last time he was on the EDG roster before that point. So need to keep an eye on EDG's team fighting later on. The early game has been good. They can get advantages here. The fact that they haven't might be a bit concerning, because I think that is one of the strongest parts of EDG's game. If they don't walk away with an early game lead, I get worried for them.
So, what is the team fight shape? Is it a nonagon? I like the word nonagon.
Do you know what a nonagon is, Sam?
It's a 7-sided shape, isn't it? Can't actually know, is it a 9-sided shape?
It's a
That's a 9-sided shape. It's 9.
shape.
It's a 9-sided shape, yeah.
Yeah, I've also heard a meme edit of, God, was it? There's a song called Circles where every word non-circles is replaced with increasingly more confusing shapes. So that's the kind of fun. So it's like spitting out its super icosahedron nagons or whatever.
Dodecahedron.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't look. Sam,
what's your favourite shape, Alex? For a team fight, what's your favourite team fight shape? JJ's the top lane.
One where your front line can give space to your back line to do damage from behind someone who can tank skill shots and provide CC for them. That is my favourite one. My second favourite, well no, that's one of my favourites. My favourite one's probably the big flank, the flangles.
The flank?
Where you have the big flanks coming in to make big explosive team fights. With,
Do you like it a cute flangle or an obtuse flangle?
Well, you're being obtuse right now.
That's very true.
That's all I'll say about that. That's all I need to say. Getting ourselves back into this early game though, JJ once again looking towards this top side, but Hoya's been completely fine playing towards this lane on his own. He's taken, what, 2 turret plates right now in that top
Yes,
side, and that's been okay.
The LPL overlay, as you may know, does cut off just the top of the tower there in top lane, so it could be a little difficult to check out exactly how many plates have gone down sometimes. But hey, it's a pretty overlay on the whole.
That it is. So, TT walking down into this mid lane. Haven't got themselves their first live assist yet. They'll come up in the next few minutes, of course. Grub spawning in the next few seconds. Both these teams would love to get that. I think particularly TT with the Gnar into the Cassante would love to use that as a win condition because Hoya can freely, he's already been freely hitting turrets. If they get themselves that 4 grub marks, things change quite a bit. Problem is, EDG are in topside river, and also they have the Braum. So that means that if they're on the objective first, you have to engage into the Braum, which is exactly where he wants to be. You can see that EDG, they're doing quite well at getting towards that. It's already going to be 1 grub down very, very quickly along this point. And TT, their entrance into this fight is not easy.
No, it's not, especially with the vision control being what it is. Those double control wards make getting forwards a pretty difficult endeavor. And so actually it will be EDG who claim first dragon, claim first 3 grubs, having a relatively okay time of it, and for all that Hoya's been weak siding ganked a couple times, he's the one who's getting the plates.
Yeah, he is. And this is he has the 2 grubs. They're not going to be able to get to that 4, which is no, it's not the best, but he's still going to be able to hit turrets. Even if he had no grubs, he'd be doing the same thing, which is exactly what you were just saying there. It's like, look, hey, it's been ganked alone. Sure. Who cares? You know, the Gnar, the one time that Gnar loses to Cassante in the matchup is that going to stop the recall? If it does, that'd be nice to stop the recall. Oh! It would have been off, it was off center anyway, didn't quite manage to get it, but, Hoya, God, what was I saying before this?
You were talking about grubs.
The only time Cassante beats Gnar is just when he turns out of Mega into Mini, and then you end up managing to catch him, particularly if you use your ult to cancel the hop. That's when he can't live at that point, because then you're melee range against a Gnar who doesn't have enough kiting to get away with you. With Hyper and that can Carl, to one extent should be fine. There's no real damage. There's no real damage, and you got 2 people kind of like within close range. But yeah, so you can watch out for that in that individual matchup, but until then, until that happens, Mini-Gnar absolutely monsters, particularly in Mini-Gnar form, the Cassante with all the percent HP damage, with mixed damage variety. And this thing you can do as well, you just look to walk beyond the minion wave, so you give the enemy champion a choice between hitting you or hitting the turret. Hoya just walks up, demolishes, uses Mega Gnar stats to say, alright, I'm done poking you now, I can use my demolish at full value on the tower.
Grabs another play and just continues to start scaling against this. We saw last series Juice went for double Cassante games and didn't have the easiest time of it. It feels like sometimes a bit of a difference between, say, our top tier Cassante players in the LPL who are able to get value from even rough matchups. Then to Juice in game 1 managed to get some good tower dive kills.
Yeah, in our first series, yeah.
The Dragon we look right now, stop using about Cassante, because it is EDG who have been in control of the river largely this game.
They have been, and they've been getting there first, and this hides some of the weaknesses of that Braum. Wink, of course, one of the veterans of this team, brought in over from IG, really helping his team on this Braum pick and kind of holding the door shut right up in the face of TT. That's going to be a lot of objectives going to the side of EDG. This is good early game from EDG, get themselves to those objectives first. If they can continue to do this later into the game, that's great. Problem is, what happens if TT avoid the objectives for now and they manage to get such a lead onto this Gnar that EDG struggle to get that advantage in the setup because the Gnar's pushed out side lanes and can threat them out. That might be what TT are looking for.
Through. There was someone hiding in that bush just briefly, and the Spidey sense was correct, just 2 seconds off. Also note there was the T1 flare flashed there in the river as well, just salt in the wound to recent international defeats. Even if it wasn't, of course, 2TT, there's still that a little bit of salt in that wound after recent LPL losses.
I mean, I don't know. I think the more important thing there is that T1 have just lost 2 series back-to-back, including to where they lost to, wait, who did they, was the last one?
HLE was the big one.
Lost to HLE, but didn't they also lose to like another team as
They
well?
did. Was it Kongdu Freaks?
It's not Kongdu anymore, Kwangdong.
Kwangdong Freaks, sorry, yes. It's KDF is another area.
Anyway, they have lost many series. Now TT get themselves into River for the first time, and again, they used Hoya now to push out. It's Furious they lost. So not again. So they lost to not top teams. I made a prediction, by the way, that T1 would not be a top 2 team. Now I can see that now, but I think they might even be a top 3 after the series that they have right now. And we'll see how far they can go. Look, okay, completely different region. We have the flare, throw it up here. It's fun to catch up with regions because we are, of course, an international scene for this sport, and get to focus in down here. Now onto these 2 teams where EDG, they will really need to secure themselves that next dragon. If they don't, I think this game gets a little problematic because they're already losing very hard in side lanes and losing these turrets.
Yeah, and again, it's been a relatively slow game. Lost the ability to muse about things like T1's recent form over in the LCK. See no kills going over quite yet. 15 minutes in, that is very slow, even for the LPL, where some of our teams, perhaps against the general consensus, aren't as fast as you think they are.
I think there is a way we can make this more relevant too, which is how the meta has changed globally. Of course, the LCK meta is quite different from LPL. LCK loves playing very heavy frontline. Very heavy frontline has largely been very good for them, because teams like Gen G have done very well at playing around heavy frontline. You have 2-3 tanks which all hand off frontlining duty to each other. When one person goes for the engage, they take enough damage and then someone steps into their place in the front of the team fight to then allow their carries to do a lot of damage because the tanks are holding strong. And there are teams which prefer taking slower fights like that, which allows you to get around to the second and third rounds of cooldown. And then you have teams which, I'd loosely say TT fall into this one on the other side, which prefer the more bursty kind of team fights. T1 also, and this is one of the reasons why I think that they've maybe fallen off a little bit, because you can't necessarily guarantee the fact that you're going to win a team fight in one round of cooldowns right now. You can sometimes, Brand can sometimes do that for you, but teams like this with TT as well, when you have like the Brand, the Lucian, the Ezreal, that can very quickly burst out teams, can look towards those bursty teams at kind of team fights, because it feels like there is a sliding scale right now of slower team fights, heavy frontline, faster team fights, heavy picks, potentially using globals and stuff like that too to force team fights too on your own kind of pace. That has been a lot of how the global meta is evolved.
Yeah, exactly. Again, L comes on through for T2, beginning to put pressure on these structures in particular. That tower, a very risky prospect to leave. And you've got an Ezreal and a Lucian on the other side. Their ability to force through mid with a couple AD carries pretty scary if EDG aren't vigilant in setting up control and defensive in the mid lane.
So now we need to start looking for the setup around Dragon, because that's coming up in a minute. That would be Soul Point. That is an ult. He has flash. Good damage from JJ, but I don't think it's a kill. So now suddenly JJ will not have ult for the Dragon. If he kills Hoya, that's great, but he doesn't manage to. There's no follow-up, and then suddenly EDG, they take themselves that top lane turret. Maybe they are choosing to maybe they're choosing to get their own side lane advantages through this. Maybe that's the play. They say, okay, they want to give up the Dragon, get some gold onto their carries elsewhere, because they're starting to fall behind in gold to TT. That is one of the macro options they have.
What's the latest first blood time in the LPL this year? Do you know?
No, I don't. No, I've not.
I feel like we might be edging closer and closer towards it. Got 3 seconds on Dragon, which would be Soul Point. You would feel that violence should occur there.
Yeah, I mean, EDG, they've been more focused on the objectives. Both these teams focusing on the gold from towers rather than the actual kills. And I think particularly walking into a Braum is hard, but EDG don't have the best go buttons themselves. That's why it's kind of nullified a little bit, because EDG don't really have engage besides JJ's ult. And TT don't want to be throwing everything into a Braum shield. And they don't be diving into that Braum. We've already seen that Brand can sometimes, weirdly, despite the fact that Braum is not always great versus ranged, Can Champ is not great versus Mage, good versus Brand because he can block the
That's sometimes the key, right? How much value does a door get is often a significant part of whether or not a Braum is taken. Dragon was started by TT. They let it reset. Both towers in mid and bot desperately low, but not dead for EDG.
So Hoya has no Mega Narbar. That might be the deciding factor for that. JJ doesn't have ult, though. I feel like now is the time to fight if you're going to. You have one items, which are one item spikes, which are very, very strong. Beitron's going to start up the Dragon again. Okay, so this is the play now. They go towards the mid lane turret. They delay their Dragon start. They take mid lane turret. They should go straight back towards Dragon, and now TT get themselves both the tower and the objective. JJ does have his ult coming up soon, but still not quite up.
And the mini Dragon, namely Smolder, forced to back away and use the ultimate there. As kind of wave clear duty, so Mom was summoned, didn't get that much value. Feather might be in danger here, actually flashes away from the Glacial Fissure. And again, no one dies. Dragon was secured by TT alongside the turret, and it is a macro lover's dream, apparently, today. It's all about those objectives. Violence is an optional part of League of Legends. Ryan makes me a liar in a matter of moments, forced to flash out of the solar flare.
Manages to get out with his life, so no first blood still. The other thing this is good for, besides macro lovers, is Smolder's stacks, because Smolder, because the game has slowed down, gets to just sit there, get himself to Shojin, he gets all of that cooldown reduction on basic abilities. Very happy to just keep stacking up at 158, I believe, right now. So by the time TT get Dragons and they get towards maybe threatening something like a Baron, there's a good chance that Smolder comes online. Now, this is not the same Smolder as it was before, where it is infinite amounts of damage and the execute is very hard to get away from. and things to that extent. Leave is still going to be very, very powerful around the next time which EDG wants to take a fight, because they got those early dragons. They can definitely take towards that. JJ has himself a lot of move speed, gets the ult.
Baseline coming on over potentially, and that will be first blood at 20 minutes! Secured by JJ on EDG! Can they turn to Baron?
No, I don't think so. Hoya's going to come in and try and get himself the solo kill here. Meganar's coming down. They're teleporting away from that Baron.
Yeah, that'll be the Meganar ulted out from solo kill. Hoya now in danger, crunches onto Cryan, who actually came in at half HP. Flash is available for Hoya, but he's not going to use it as solo kill flashes before Nantofo strikes part 3 of his own. Okay,
so that's going to be teleport down towards that boss side. EDG 2 on the board. They don't get themselves something like that Baron, but again, it's just happy to get gold in pocket. Now, certainly TT, who traded early dragons for early gold themselves, are even in gold, so that's not worked out for them. They are against the Smolder, who continues to scale up. He'll be going towards the second item fairly quickly as well, and TT very happy. Well, rather no, ADG very happy with what they're managing to do here. They shut down Hoya on the side lane, they teleport in, Hoya gets his Meganar, gets the burst through, but the Mini-Gnar is what does damage to the Xante, because Mini-Gnar is the anti-tank killer. The ult gets immune through the W, and then the ultimate. Solo kill uses both of them, and Cryan, of course, comes in. If Hoya had saved his cooldowns, he might have been able to kill Cryan, but not quite able to.
Fails the flash over the wall there as well. Wasn't quite close enough. Tried to react to solo kill's flash, but meant that the flash over the fat wall not going to quite come on through, and so does go down. EDG, those first 2 kills very, very late on the game. In fact, I am pretty certain that will be the latest first blood of the split at the very least. 20 minutes is late by any margin.
Yeah, look, there are occasionally slow games, occasionally with an LNG looking at you. And a couple of others. Yeah, there are a couple of ones. Hoya's going to finally break this bot lane outer turret, opens up some extra map options for TT, with now all of the outer turrets down from EDG. Neither team really wants to heavily engage, and this is what we're seeing multiple times now. And this is a big win, I think, for the Smolder, just because again it means the game slows down. No one wants to dive into the Braum, and on the other side you've only got JJ with his ult. It means that EDG can look to play around Smolder stacks. They can look to play around the dragons, which they've got earlier. Despite the fact that I think EDG's team fighting hasn't been great recently, they might not even need to come down to that, and they might just be helped out by the fact that, you know, Leaf's got himself to that second item, he's got that shield bow, knows that potentially he could get jumped on. But he's completely fine to just sit there, keep stacking.
30-odd stacks away from the big time, such as it is. That 225 mark is still a solid breakpoint for Smolder, even if it is not as instant a win condition as it once was. Yukal now potentially in danger here as JJ is looking for something. Will throw down the far side alteration teleport behind. Yukal and the rest of TT want to play this Hoya with the Meganar there. They're going to turn straight onto solo kill, who gets murdered. Hoya, hit with the Dream Dust, will not be put to sleep though, and the man advantage currently lying with TT.
Just teleport for teleport, but TT can walk away with their first kill of the game. And EDG, they can't lock down the targets this time. This is where some of the flaws of that engage come through. JJ does have flash, he does have ult. TT needs to be aware of that, but they could still just go straight back towards this Baron now. They can burn it down with double AD carries and of course that Brand, but I think with the threat of JJ getting that flash ult, maybe they choose not to do that. I wonder if that was the time that you didn't have, of course there's no teleport now on solo kill. He would have been respawning later into the Baron take, and then also no leave ultimate from the Smolder was 2 pretty big things, but I guess they see the Dragon Timer coming up and said they'd rather take the permanent objective rather than the smaller one.
The blast cone, the vision toggle there, because there was someone in that pixel bush.
This is another thing which has just come to mind as well. This was the last fight which TT could have taken before the Smolder gets the stacks. So now they'll have to fight into the Smolder stacks. I think guaranteed at the next fight, if he gets himself a Q splash, getting some minion kills, getting some tags on enemy champions, that'll help him. 218 right now. One more wave or a little bit of poke on enemy champions will get him to it.
Worth noting the base one at the moment is on the Dragon. We'll secure that alongside Hoya on the Gnar. Yukal flashing away as he was CC'd there. The Lucian down that key summoner spell. Still alive, however.
Blows in that flash definitely hurts his both offensive and defensive capabilities. JJ goes in.
Oh boy, 1XM put to sleep, cleanses on out. Feather pulled back with a Q3. The Eclipse is timed out. Turnaround is huge though, as Brand begins to pop the ultimate. Everybody's health bar is looking pretty low. Into the backline goes Hoya, doesn't get that much value though, and TT in so much danger is crying. Sees everybody low. Blood in the water. Barrier comes on down. believe, goes flapping over the wall, but that's Hoya
That
down
should
at
be
the
a
health
Baron
bar, so
stop.
they can turn to Baron.
Should be a Baron stop because of the huge damage coming through from EDG, and Hoya's over-engaged. Hoya, not the best Mega Knight roll. He goes straight on for Cassante, gets W'd again. Not good value out of Hoya, despite him getting so much side lane gold. EDG, they find themselves a big grouped up team fight win in terms of HP bars, if not the overall kills themselves, and that's going to net them a Baron. EDG, even with their lack of easy engage, are managing to make this work. This is not the easiest team composition to play in the world, but they've managed to slow the game down. Leave suddenly has his passive, and his passive up to that 225 stack mark. EDG, they're exactly where they want to be.
Slow game into a Smolder. You get a fight where you murder Hoya on the flank, who is looking for the AD carries, but flashes work. Can't get the engage he's looking for.
It's good it's good ult in from JJ, and with the ult coming through from Braum, the follow-up damage from TT is not great. You do get a little bit from Brand, and this is a little bit from Brand at this point. There's not multiple passes, and Leaf does get that flash out, but Hoya goes straight on for Cassante, doesn't manage to catch that Smolder, and then suddenly your threat is gone. The backline from TT was zoned out long enough by various ultimates coming through from EDG, and they couldn't fight.
Got the slow with the boulder toss and thought flash and an arm might be able to catch out the Smolder, but no. Flash away keeps him alive, and yeah, down a couple of those key summoners, but they get Baron, they've got the stacks. They can start to really take over this game.
So, EDG don't have themselves, well, neither team has Soul Point, it's 2 dragons apiece, so that will potentially slow the game down. Again, TT yet to find themselves what they want in this game. I mean, they drafted in a competition that would look for side lane advantage with that looking for quick picks with Leona. It just hasn't been the case in this game. They haven't been able to find it, and I think we're really starting to see the value of Braum into these kind of single engage comps as well. Braum managed to tag that down. Ult coming through from JJ. Here comes the ult.
Another big chunk. 1xN down to about half HP. Massive shove into the wall. Hoya gets into the backline, but it's immediately cleared by Leaf. But does have a flash. In danger. Stays alive. 1xN burning down. Allows Tortu to claim him, but it's still just about alive. The problem is everyone else is burning on down. JJ goes golden to prevent the last auto coming on through. Swell Seed just about wide. But everyone but 1xM falls, and EDG in the blink of an eye might just end the game.
JJ has been so on point with his big sleeps. This time it finally gets comboed up with the Smolder ultimate, and the carries of TT just could not team fight. In the blink of an eye, EDG, they don't need to wipe the fights. They have done here though, and they walk towards the Nexus.
Slowest game of the split, it feels like 1xN desperately low to burning on out. But one fight, one Baron, EDG win the damn game.
EDG, that is the cleanest game I have seen from them all Rumble stage. They've had a torrid time of it here in the Nirvana group, but TT, one of our teams that were looking very, very strong. They've had some inspired performances from their carries recently, have not been able to stand up and be counted for in this first game versus Edward Gaming. And suddenly EDG, who are on the brink themselves, they could have been going down to a point where they were 1-4. Can't get it. Well, they get themselves. They can get it done. I normally say, no, they can't get it done. They do. And folks will come out of that game and say hi again. Hello, my name's Alex. I'm also known as Nymaera. This is Sam, my brother. Yes, actual brother. Also known as Initialise Cast. We've cast together for a couple of years at this point. And throughout this year, we've had a little project running because there has been no English broadcast for the LPL on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The games are still there. The Chinese broadcast is still there, but there's no English broadcast for it. We have co-streaming rights, so we are casting this to make sure that there's an archive and a way for you to enjoy a more formal kind of broadcast. If that's your shtick. So we hope you're enjoying yourselves. We hope you're enjoying what we're putting on for you. If you can, drop a follow to Sam as well. And if you have a sub to give over or a prime, that helps us keep doing what we're doing because we're not paid for this. We just do it on our own free time. My voice gave out the other week as well because I've been casting so much.
You have been doing a lot of casting.
I have cast about 350 games this year.
Damn, son.
And that's over double what a major region caster would be expected to do. Like,